I just finished doing that vlog. Well, actually, it's possible I'll do another part of the vlog after this. Whatever. Do I really have to keep track of the order? Okay, but something I will be keeping track of is how long how many hours I'm going to be spending on the corporate finance stuff. I'm going to be keeping track of that, for sure. Did I keep track of that before? I can't remember. Last solved because no procrastination is allowed anymore. I feel like either his cube is getting slowly faster and faster, but still way slower than my GAN cube still. And so, also my nose itches a lot, so thank you. Okay, so I need to favorite this stopwatch. Well, I don't use it enough to really favorite Warren's favorite, but then again, I have plenty of space in my top bar up here, so I may as well. Last time I used the timer, I used it for about 1 hour, so nice. I like this one because you can do it off screen and it will save your time from before if you reload the page. So anyways, we'll favorite it. So I specifically forced myself to not procrastinate anymore. Like, I sat down at this computer and I was about to click off and click on YouTube, but I told myself, nope, I'm not doing that. I'm just going to start streaming right away. And my nose is all stuffed. Should I just blow my nose? I think I'm going to blow my nose. I will temporarily mute the audio, mute the microphone, and then blow my nose because I am announcing everything I'm currently doing. Sorry I had to do that. I could have done it before stream, but I didn't think to, so too bad. Hopefully you couldn't hear any of that stuff. I was just blowing my nose. So, we are going to now start. See what's happening right now? You can see it right before your eyes. It's me struggling to even get started on this homework stuff. You know why? It's because it's such a huge, daunting task of what I have to do. Like, that's what it is, really. Like, there's so much stuff to do for corporate finance. And to make everything worse, I need to actually go through everything all over again because of how long it was ago that I studied this stuff. And it was such a long time ago that I'm afraid that I have forgotten the stuff that I studied, and therefore, I'm not only afraid of that, I'm almost sure of it. I'm almost sure I've forgotten tons of that stuff. So that's why I have to go through it all again, which is a daunting task. And not only that, obviously, I have to go through all the new stuff too. There's chapter 1, 2, 4, 5, which was due 3 weeks ago, and then chapter 6, 7, 8, and 9 are going to be due in like a week. So this is going to suck, which is why I'm going to keep track of how long it takes. Also, I hate, for some reason, I don't know if my phone's battery life is decreasing or what, but also it's taking too long for it to charge my phone, which is annoying me a lot. It's very annoying. And you would think that, oh, why don't you just charge it while you're sleeping? Yeah, but if you leave it charged and then it reaches 100%, doesn't leaving it charged, plugged in, drain the battery life? And if that is the case, then I can't leave it plugged in overnight because it will reach 100% long before I wake up. And then I'm going to have to unplug it in the middle of the night, and that's not ideal because you need to have uninterrupted sleep to get a good night's sleep. There I go procrastinating again. Nope, I was about to pick up my cube to solve it. Like, that's how terrible my procrastination habit is. Like, I just have the constant urge to procrastinate. Every time I try to get started on a homework assignment. Like, this is really bad. I'm giving myself tons of space on this table, so it feels nice and nice. I literally cannot bring myself to click start on the timer. I literally can't. I just did it. Oh no, all I'm gonna do is read this. That's all. Nice. See, that wasn't so bad. It was just 3 seconds. I just read the notification. That's all I did. We are going to work through the material from chapter 1, 2, 4, and 5. And that's just what we're gonna do, okay? And the only thing I have done for this is the adaptive test prep, answering every single test question that they give me. Because that's all I have to study for anyways. Alright, 24 questions from chapter 1. We're going to do one at a time like we usually do to make it into bite-sized chunks to make it easier. We already took the quizzes over chapter 1 and 2, I know, but we are studying for a test as well, so. The board of directors is the highest ranking body in a corporation. The members of the board are elected by the shareholders and The chairperson of the board is the highest ranking member of the board. The CEO generally reports to the board and the chairperson, and the board generally has the authority to remove the CEO. True. In most corporations, the CFO is outranked by the CEO. True. The chairperson of the board and the CEO are one and the same. False. That was easy. All right. Let's go back. There are no questions from 1-2. Nice. That's funny. Not sure why, but okay. 1-3. There are 5 questions. Which of the following statements accurately describes business organizations? And a lot of these tests, what I do is I just choose random answers. And then... So apparently, the limited... Okay, so partnerships... The need to reorganize when a partner dies. The illiquidity, the difficulty... What is true about business organizations? Due to legal considerations related to ownership, transfers, and limited liability, which affects ability to attract capital, most business is conducted by corporations. Which of the following represents a significant disadvantage to the corporate form? Which one is correct? A significant risk in starting a proprietorship is that you may be exposed to personal liability if the business goes bankrupt. Okay. Why would you choose as a corporation than the other thing? Corporations find it easier to raise large amounts of capital. Talking, test. Anyways. Imagine that a firm's board of directors wants to maximize value for all of its stockholders in general as opposed to some specific stockholders. A smart solution would be to design an executive compensation system that aims to build the firm's... We're gonna just go through. If I don't know the answer to something, I'm just gonna go through. Review it. The primary operating goal should be to maximize the long-run stock price or the intrinsic value. Design an executive compensation system that aims to build the firm's long-term value. There are factors that influence stock price over which managers have virtually no control. Correct? Managers have no control over factors such as external constraints, the general level of economic activity, taxes, interest rates, and conditions in the stock market. The primary financial objective is to maximize the earnings per share. False. The primary objective is stockholder wealth maximization, which is maximization of stock price. And Calistoga Combines is a publicly owned firm. In order to best serve shareholders, its primary operating goal should be to use a well-structured managerial compensation package to reduce conflicts that may exist between stockholders and managers. The goal of management should be to maximize long-run shareholder wealth, and good compensation packages can reduce a manager's incentives to focus on the short term instead. Maximizing the firm's expected profits for the current year does not necessarily maximize the stockholder's wealth for the current year. Risky transactions that generate short-term profits sometimes fail, thus eliminating wealth. My nose itches. Which of the following factors tend to encourage management to act in their stockholders' best interests? I remember having trouble with this quiz, so therefore, and also I don't know the answer all the time. Which of the following factors tend to encourage management to act in their stockholders' best interests? All of these factors. Okay, so all of these things. A reasonable compensation package sufficient to attract and retain able managers, direct intervention by shareholders, firing managers who do not perform well, and threat of a hostile takeover. Of the following policy changes, which would be the most likely to reduce potential conflicts of interest between stockholders and managers? So the composition of the board of directors is changed from all inside directors to all outside directors, and the directors are compensated with stock rather than cash. Okay. Which of the following situations would most likely encourage a firm's managers to make decisions? Let's check the stream. Seems to be doing fine. Which of the following situations... Am I streaming? Yes. Would most likely encourage the managers to make decisions that are in the best interests of shareholders. The percentage of the firm's stock that is held by institutional investors, such as mutual funds, pension funds, and hedge funds, rather than by small individual investors, rises from 10% to 80%. Small stockholders have little clout with management, while large investors are better able to force managers to operate in stockholders' interests. Imagine you are the chairman of the board of a large corporation. Which of the following mechanisms do you think the board should choose to adopt to motivate top-level managers to act in the best interests of shareholders? Increase the proportion of executive compensation. That comes from stock options and reduce the proportion paid as cash salaries. The goal of management should be to maximize, and paying executives with stock and stock options can help reduce incentives for short-term performance. Of the following actions, which one is most likely to reduce conflicts of interest? Between managers and stockholders, change the corporation's formal documents to make it easier for outside investors to acquire a controlling interest in the firm through a hostile takeover. Corporate takeovers are most likely to occur when a firm is underperforming. Managers who fear losing their jobs will try to maximize shareholder wealth. No. It's all of the factors, not just this one. Oh no, oh no, oh no, don't. Read question completely before... Okay. If you sat on the board of directors of Ting Corporation, which of the actions would you recommend to reduce the conflicts of interest between the stockholders and bondholders? The use of covenants in bond agreements that limit the firm's use of additional debt and constrain managers' actions. Stock options and the threat of takeovers. Reduce conflicts. Financing risky projects. With additional debt. Increases conflict. Adding covenants to bond agreements will reduce conflicts. Okay, all they said was all the other stuff will not. And this one will. Use covenants in bond agreements that limit the firm's use of additional debt and constrain management action. The Gabriel Corporation has asked you, a consultant, to recommend an action that is likely to reduce conflicts between stockholders and bondholders. You would propose including restrictive covenants in the company's bond indenture, which is the contract between the company and its bondholders. Bondholders want to be paid. Financing risky projects with additional debt increases potential for conflict. Adding covenants reduces conflict. Oh my gosh. Use covenants. That's literally just it. Maximizing the earnings per share maximizes shareholder value. Maximizing stock price. Haha. Correct. The primary operating goal is to maximize the long-term stock price or intrinsic value. Correct. The primary operating goal is to maximize the long-run stock price or intrinsic value. Easy. Then you need to look at the answers. I wish I could retake the first quiz, because if I had done all this stuff to study for it, then I could have gotten 100%, obviously. Which of the following statements reflects the position of most people in business? Although people's moral characters are probably developed before they are admitted to a business school, it is still useful for business schools to cover ethics, if only to give students an idea about the adverse consequences of unethical behavior to themselves, their firms, and the nation. Compliance may hurt short-term profits, and companies rarely welcome new regulations, but having rules in place and ethics training helps people understand what is expected of them and reminds them of the consequences of their actions. It's not to say I don't care about the ethics of this. I already know. Which of the following statements about legal and ethical issues is correct? If someone deliberately understates costs and thereby causes reported profits to increase, this can cause the stock price to rise above its intrinsic value. The stock will probably fall in the future. Both those who participated in the fraud and the firm itself can be prosecuted. You recently sold 100 shares of Facebook stock to your uncle. You had the certificates and gave them, to him. In exchange, he wrote you a check. Which of the following is an example of a direct transfer of capital? If one person transfers an asset to another without the involvement of a financial intermediary, then a direct transfer of capital has occurred. A financial intermediary is a corporation that takes funds from investors and then provides the funds to those who need capital. One example is a commercial bank, which takes in demand deposits and then uses the money to make long-term mortgage loans. Shut up. You recently sold 100 shares of Facebook stock. Okay, this is direct transfer of capital. And then Yeah, it's pretty simple. And 3 years ago, you purchased 500 shares in the Kellogg Company, but yesterday you sold 200 of those shares through your broker. This is a secondary market transaction. Secondary markets involve securities and other financial assets traded among investors after they have been issued by a corporation. Which of the following is an example of a capital market instrument? This is awesome. This is one that I'm not entirely sure I understand. Capital market instruments. Okay, it kind of explains it in the description. So, capital markets are markets for stocks and for intermediate or long-term debt. So capital markets are markets for stocks and for intermediate or long-term debt. So a preferred stock is an example of a stock which is in a capital market. So there you go. All this other stuff I would assume is like short money market rather than capital market. There is a difference between money market and capital market that I want to know. Which of the following statements describes a primary market transaction? Facebook issues 2 million shares of new stock and sells them. Yeah, new is the key word. A primary market transaction is one that brings an asset to the public markets for the first time. Which is the correct statement? As they are generally defined, money market transactions involve debt securities with maturities of less than 1 year. Correct. Money markets are the financial markets in which funds are borrowed or loaned for periods of less than 1 year. And 5. What's example of securities traded in money markets? So short-term debt securities such as treasury bills and commercial paper. So yeah, short-term is the key word because it's money market. Three years ago, you purchased 500 shares from the Kellogg Company. But yesterday, you sold the 200 shares through your broker. Thankfully, we can skip chapter 3. Not sure why we skipped it originally. Not sure. I'm really glad because that would be one extra chapter to have to study. And if you don't answer the question, it doesn't even show you the correct answer, which is why I'm answering every question. Financial institutions are more diversified today than they were in the past when Federal separated When Federal separated investment banks, commercial banks, insurance companies, and other financial companies. Today, large financial services corporations offer services that they could not in the past. Which of the following statements about hedge funds is correct? Hedge funds are not as highly regulated as most other types of financial institutions. The justification for its slight regulation is that only the wealthiest investors invest in hedge funds and they understand the risks. Hedge funds are similar to mutual funds, except that they are less regulated, have more flexibility regarding what they can buy, and restrict their investors to wealthy, sophisticated individuals and institutions. The New York Stock Exchange is an auction market and it has a physical location. Correct. The New York Stock Exchange is an auction market located on the corner of Broad and Wall Streets in New York City. Home mortgages are long-term debt securities which are traded on capital markets and issued by commercial banks. The capital markets include both equities and long-term debt security. Both NASDAQ dealers and specialists on the New York Stock Exchange hold inventories of stocks. Futures markets involve transactions set to close in the future. Capital markets include long-term debt securities, a primary market transaction. Money markets may be denominated in any currency. Both dealers and specialists hold inventories of stock. The New York Stock Exchange operates as an auction market, whereas NASDAQ is an example of a dealer market. Commercial banks specialize in raising money. Money market funds invest in short-term debt securities. And liquid securities are those that are easy to buy and sell. NASDAQ is a dealer market, which means it has all facilities needed to conduct security transactions without a physical location. National Association of Securities Dealers, automated quotations. A stock is considered to be closely held. I'm just gonna use that. If the corporation's shares are owned by a few individuals who are associated with the firm's management. A corporation is said to be publicly owned if its shares are held by the investing public, which may include individuals, other corporations, and institutional investors. Okay, which statement is incorrect? This is the incorrect statement. Going public establishes a firm's true intrinsic value and ensures a liquid market will always exist for the firm's shares. That is false. These other statements are true. When stock in a closely held corporation is offered to the public for the first time, maybe my internet's fixed now. My dad just sent me a text indicating that our internet might be fixed. That's cool. That's really good news, actually. That means I don't have to come here every single time I want to do something. Well, my dad's internet is working and it's just inconsistent. Okay, when stock in a closely held corporation is offered to the public for the first time, the transaction is called going public or an initial public offering, and the market for such a stock is called the new issue or initial public offering market. Nice windows. It is possible for a firm to go public and yet not raise any additional new capital for the firm itself. The stock of publicly owned companies must generally be registered with and reported to a regulatory agency such as the Securities and Exchange Commission. How do I even know that? I guess it's because I'm taking Tilda business classes. That's why. There's lots of recurring themes through all these classes. Anyways, when a corporation's shares are owned by a few individuals, we say the firm is closely or privately held. A firm owned by a few individuals is closely held, going public, establishing That's a really bad feedback. It doesn't even explain why it's wrong. The acronym that stands for, nope, it stands for initial public offering. Which of the statements is correct? The correct statement is that in a Dutch auction, investors who want to buy shares in an initial public offering submit bids indicating how many shares they want to buy and the price they are willing to pay. The company determines how many shares it wants to sell. The highest price that enables the company to sell the desired number of shares is the price that all buyers must pay. So The equation used. Oh my gosh, my nose just stopped. That's so funny! What are the chances of getting all 4 of them correct? Oh my gosh. The equation used to find the annual rate of return on any given stock is the stock's dividend for the year plus the change in the stock's price during the year divided by its beginning of year price. When applied to a large portfolio of stocks, the average of the returns on each stock can be used to find stock market returns for the year in question. Are you kidding? Really? Why wouldn't they just show the equation? Add the stock's dividend for the year, plus the change in stock's price during the year, then divide by its beginning of year price. The stock's return can be broken out into its dividend yield plus its capital gains yield. Well, that's epic. It's because they were all true. That's the reason. Because they're all true false questions and they're all true. Like, why would they have 4 true questions? Now is when we're going to be starting to do math. I have to go to the bathroom first. Very, very fun. Time for the not so fun part where I have to do tons of math questions and I probably forgot how to do a ton of them, so. Since I got through chapter 1 and 2, I will now do some solves. Good job, procrastinator. Well, at least I got through the first 2 chapters. It took only 40 minutes. I don't know if I was expecting it to take longer, but I guess I was. All I want to do is do a cubing session, not do homework. This is the last solve. My nose itches too much. Darn it. Analyzing financial statements to help appraise a firm's financial position and strength is called ratio analysis. I'm gonna undo this. I'm not. $4:30. Looks like I'm gonna have to stop a bit earlier, but actually that will mean I get to go to bed earlier, technically. Alrighty, here we go. Here we go. Here, time for the math question. Unfortunately, there was some stuff that I did not have in that document that I wrote down on my notes, but I may have thrown the notes in there. Because I was clearing out my room. That's unfortunate. Hopefully I put it in here. No, I don't think I did. Oh boy. I have stuff from last semester still in my folder. Yeah, I definitely threw those notes away. That's unfortunate. Oh well. We'll just have to relearn everything again. A high current ratio is always a good indication of a well-managed liquidity position. False. Excess cash, receivables, and inventory resulting from poor management could produce a high current ratio. Cutler Enterprises has current assets equal to $4.5 million. The company's current ratio is 1.25. What is the firm's level of current liabilities? Let's try doing the question. Okay. The current assets knows again. Okay, their current assets is equal to that. The current ratio is that. What is the liabilities? It's simple math. Actually, we're not doing the questions. We're going to read how to do it, and then we'll try to do it after. Oh my goodness. Okay, what would improve the ratio of the current ratio? That's a very not fun question. Analyze it using numbers. So you have to, this is a very not fun question to do. I think what I'm going to do instead, I understand the concept, okay? The concept is that the current ratio is the current liabilities over the current, the current assets over the current liabilities. I know how to do that. So what I'm going to do instead is just memorize the answers because it's just more time effective for me to do, okay? In fact, I'm going to just do this. Okay, so let's study this. Which would improve the ratio? It's a 1.2. It's over 1. The current ratio is over 1. Purchasing additional inventory on credit. Now, if they use the same question, okay, fine, I'll memorize the whole thing. Basically, all I'm doing is memorizing. For now, what I'm going to do, after I've gone through everything, I think I might have a review session of a few different things, and this will be one of the things I will review. Okay? So, what will improve the ratio or increase it? Purchasing additional inventory on credit. and using cash to pay off current liabilities. So, yeah. Now calculate the current ratio. The current ratio is just current assets over current liabilities. Easy. Question 5. This is another one that's simple. So I'm going to do the same thing. Same exact thing. So purchase additional inventory on credit. Now I think it may be different when it's below 1 and above 1. It's kind of different. So purchasing additional inventory, but using cash to pay off current liabilities would not work in that situation, I guess, because. So basically what you're going to have to kind of memorize some things, like if it's below 1 you can do this, if it's above 1 you can do this, kind of like that, I guess. Because I'm not going to go through every single thing and do the math for every single thing, because that takes too long. I don't know why they would design a question like that requires you to do so much work. So anyways, we are going to choose the test again. Man, this is going to take forever. Alright, so the current ratio solving for current liabilities, you end up with CA over CR equals, time to get the calculator. Four 500. So 3 600,000. Purchase additional inventory on credit. Use cash to pay off current liabilities. Now calculate the current ratio. So current assets. This is in millions. Oh, in thousands. But it doesn't matter because it's a ratio. Let's see, when am I going to my class? 2. He says, do you want to leave by 4:30 or get there by 4:30? if we are leaving at 4:30, then when do I have to stop doing this stuff? Like 4:10, I guess. So darn it. Hello. Well, I wish I could conquer procrastination. You're procrastinating on your lab report? Oof. Lab reports. Well, lab reports, it kind of depends on how strict your teacher is. They can be easy or they can be difficult depending on how strict your teacher is about it. Thankfully, I don't really have to do any more of those. I don't need to do any of this stuff, do I? Because I know how to do it already. Like, still gotta do it though. if the current ratio is high and the inventory turnover rate is low, inventory turnover, we have to leave earlier than that. Ooh. Well, that means I get more sleep. That's a good thing, I guess. But bad because I need to do my homework. Oh my goodness. Well, that means I have to be done by 3:30 instead of 4:15 or 4:10. Oh no! Actually, I have to leave. Let's see. I have to give myself at least 10 minutes to get there, which means I have to leave at 3:35, which means I should probably be done by 3:20 instead of 3:30. Which is only 33 minutes from now. I only have 33 more minutes. And then so if the current ratio is high and inventory turnover ratio is low, that means they have lots of inventory. That's basically what that means. Okay. It has above average inventory level and or the inventory is obsolete or damaged. Yeah, blah 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 blah. Calculate the inventory turnover ratio. Okay. Inventory turnover ratio. Fixed assets turnover, fat. Total assets turnover. And days sales outstanding. The inventory turnover ratio is the sales over inventories. So sales over inventories equals everything is in thousands, so it's fine. Oh, come on. I don't like how they put it as inventories. They should have put it as, like, cost of goods sold. But I think that's what you're supposed to do, cost of goods sold. Oh, no. This is why I had to work through the question. Because of this. Inventories is just way too broad of a term. We're going to assume it's going to be 1,834. The FAT, which is the fixed assets turnover, is the sales over net fixed assets To answer the question. Oh, they just gave it to you. Two, and then the TAT, which is the total assets total, is sales over total assets. Sales over total assets is 1.06. The days sales outstanding is basically the same thing as the you know what? DSO equals, it's the same thing as the, I don't remember what it's called in my other textbook. It's basically equal to 365. I don't know why they had to write it like this, but what they should have done is 365 times receivables. They should have put the 365 in the numerator instead of having it in its denominator underneath another fraction, which makes it more confusing. Annual sales. Okay, so DSO equals 365. What are receivables? 245. Time over 2400. Okay. $37.26. So I got 1.31. I got 1.06 and 37.26. Apparently, oh crap. Apparently my first question, I did it wrong. Okay. I can figure this out. I can figure out the number. So they gave me the ITR, I just don't know what the inventory is. I equals ITR over S equals. They gave me 3.84 divided by. I flipped it wrong. It's S over ITR. That's why the number is completely off. So the actual number of inventories is 625. So where did they get that from? They got it from here. Oh my goodness, it's literally right there. It just says inventory. Fail. It just says inventory right there. Oh my goodness. Well, now I know. Alright. That was only question 1 of 5. That was days sales outstanding. After a sale is made. Why would we add another sentence? DSO equals that. So 365 times receivables. 500,000 over annual sales. I should have done the algebra first. So that means you do this, divide by this to get sales. And then you get same type of question, trying to solve for the average accounts receivables. Nope, I failed basic algebra. DSO times annual sales times S divided by 365. DSO is equal to 42. Sales is 2 million. $230,137. If the current ratio is high, this is low. When's the alarm going to go off again? 20 minutes. Really, I only have 21 minutes. I'm just frustrated because, like, you know, I have to review all this stuff again, even though I already studied it because it was too long ago. I can't just rely on my memory from millions of years ago to do this stuff again. A firm has total interest charges of that, sales of that, tax rate of that, and a profit margin of that. What is the TIE if its profit margin decreases to 3% and its interest charges double to $40,000 per year? Ugh. This is so lame, but I'm just not gonna. I have start with 4 when I get back, which is tomorrow. So I only worked for 1 hour and 15 minutes. I'll write it down here. No, actually, I might need to write down. This will be a continuous clock that just goes forever. Or should I just add them up later? I'll add it up later. Okay. 3/14, 2021. Worked for 1 hour, 13 minutes, 24. Now, that's only for corporate finance. I'm keeping track of how long it takes me to finish all the corporate finance stuff. That's what I'm doing. So anyways, that's it. I'm done streaming now. Goodbye.